Hello, good evening, fellows. UC here from iTradePrice. Uh, thought of going through the weekly charts. So here is QQQ. So since we have a monthly bar just recently closed as well, the month of November. So overall, definitely, looks bullish with this. Probably could be a cup and handle kind of a move with this, being the resistance line. So from a monthly perspective, looks fine. We had a whole month, multiple monthly range, like all the way from 386 to 346. So 40-point range, and now we are seeing a breakout even in a weekly view. Here is the view you can see, right? Uh, uh, the cup and handle is much more clear in this one right here, like this, right? So definitely that plays out itself that this could be a nice bullish breakout here after this channel right here. 2 weeks of sideways move, right? And we saw that the price held 385.8 on the lower end and about 393, 394-ish on the top end, right? So about a 9-8 point range here. In the daily view, we have a whole lot of sideways movement. Volume has not really picked up. I know some people are saying that the volume is low. Usually when the breakout happens, the volume should be increasing. Yeah, I mean, when we get out of this 393.1, the volume can increase, right? As long as we're holding this 385.8, right? That was the level right here, which we tested twice, Thursday and Friday. We have a big gap here, right? So if we break down below 385 here, then definitely, your lower target is the gap fill, and then we can see if you want to get up above from the gap fill or not. So, but so far so good, right? On a weekly view, if we do see a dip down, this is again your FVG area, fair value gap area. We have a breakout bar right here. So that area becomes your fair value gap. This one is also a fair value gap area, considering this was a breakout bar. So yeah, so you have multiple ways and scenarios that you can target this thing. On a monthly level, SPY, right? Monthly level, big monthly bullish bar. The month of November, December, we just started one day and we saw a nice move to the upside. Weekly view similar to QQQ. We saw a breakout a few weeks ago right here from this level. We saw a nice upside follow through, even broke out above this one, and this is where we sort of paused right now. So if it ends up being a little bit of sideways to slightly down move, that could just be price absorption, consolidation before the next move up towards 473. That is because that's where we see all these resistance clutter zone. Okay, all right, let's take a look at NQ. I know we trade that one name a lot. On the monthly level, very similar to QQQ, bullish monthly. November just closed, so nothing wrong with that picture. Weekly view similar. If this ends up being a bull flag, right, then the target definitely can be something like this one right here. Again, the all-time high becomes your natural target. So far so good. Weekly looks fine, daily looks fine as well. If this was the chance for bears to break down, right, this is right here. We saw a little bit of rejection, strong rejection on Wednesday. Thursday we saw a little bit of follow through to the downside, break of this uptrend line channel, right? We closed back up with the bottom wick. Bears tried to break down again on Friday, couldn't do it, and we closed towards the top end of its I'd say not a weekly range, but definitely a daily, midpoint range kind of a thing. We closed that. So now if we see a break above this whole clutter zone, that's where we see all these rejections from. So if we get above that, could be a good short covering rally, and then eventually we take out this 16,175 for higher prices. in case we break down this 840 level where we have seen multiple bounces from now here in the recent history, if that one breaks down, then definitely the level to target on the downside being this being the resistance, then definitely could be right here between 700 and 650. Could be downside target if this breaks down 840, that is. Okay, Tesla. Let's take a look at weekly chart. Again, weekly perspective, we saw a little bit of rejection based on this trend line right here. This was the third touch point, right? We saw a top wick, couldn't get above and close above this 246 zone. So let's see how it looks. You know, with the event, Cybertruck event, didn't really help. I mean, yeah, it held this structure, but it's not really rallying, right? It's kind of in the sideways move. We do see a bounce from there. This is the level I could try a bounce trade from, because that's the uptrend line, right? Again, that could be a third touch point. Bottom wick right here could be a nice one to play, right? That could be also a gap fill here against around 224, 226. You know, something to remember. Amazon, I am long in this name as well. I think it can go to 158, to be honest with you. Sort of a swing type play. Here's the monthly view. You know, monthly trend remains nice. Right, more bullish bar, higher highs, higher lows, good upside sort of momentum, no downside follow through to the any red month. Here's the weekly view as well. Saw a nice bump up after the earnings, right? Since the earnings, it's been going up, you know, so we are above this resistance zone. So this could be the area to maybe add if it comes down against, again, you know, depending on your stop loss, could be 133.7, or this uptrend line could be your further add area for a swing if it wants to come down. But other than that, if it keeps going up, then 150, 149 is the psychological resistance based on some recent price action, right? If it can get above that, 158 can come really fast. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at Apple. This one is sort of flagging, right? Here's the weekly view. You can see nice bullish breakout after the earnings dip, right? And then we got above this resistance here as well. We closed above that. It looks nice. The structure resistance is not until 198 if we keep on further building above this. Here's a daily view. It looks more flaggish here, right? You can see sideways movement, no downside follow through, bottom wicks, closed above 190, so that's a good pivot line. If it is below 190, that's weak. If it's above 190, it can keep on building further towards 195.1 and then eventually 198.2. Okay, let's take a look at Google. Weekly view looks a little I would say not bearish, right, but definitely not bullish as well. Definitely a little bit weaker name. Recently, you know, it's showing a little bit of under the price is under pressure. Here's the weekly 3-week sort of balance, right? Couldn't really break above this 136 to 138 area, right? It has found resistance recently over there as well, and just now as well. So unless we can get above this or clutter zone, chart remains under pressure. But in the daily view, you know, we did see again, you know, this could be a good pullback, right? Because this was the resistance, right, on the way up. Once we got above that, you know, this is the gap, and now it's filled the gap, and we do not really see any major downside follow through to Thursday's bearish bar, right? So it kind of held that level, a little bit of doji. Volume was picked up a little bit as well, so maybe we see a bounce towards 135 and then we'll see what happens. But for now, could play a bounce towards 135 if it can, you know, try to get above this 132.6 level. Okay, let's take a look at Microsoft. Some pullback, right, in that name after a good run. What the hell? Okay, so monthly view. Here's a monthly view, right? Again, on a monthly level, This was the resistance that we broke above. So now this could be a retest zone, right? So, or this could be your FVG in the monthly level. So if it comes between 365 and 355, can be good slow accumulation, right? With the final add, not until towards 343-ish. That's where the uptrend line is, if you want to play it like that, right? But again, we don't know if it will come down that way or not. But again, that could be a plan that you could look into. Here's the daily chart, daily view. Volume picked up a little bit in the last few days, more than average. There was the sort of the 2-day bearish, sort of setup. Opened up high above the bullish bar, closed weak, went back down. Did not really see an upside after this sort of hammer looking bar, and still weak and lower lows and lower highs. So unless that changes, I'd say if you want to look for a pullback and to look at long, a better area in case it wants to come down is 367.5-ish, right? We have 3 touchdowns there, right? 3 touch points. So that could be a bounce zone, at least on the first touch basis. Below that, we have a good strong area around 360. Definitely a nice area for a swing try as well. That's where we have the big bullish bar. So a lot of liquidity there, I think. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at Meta. Some pullback after a nice good run. Weekly charts is okay, right? From structure perspective, you can see this was the area of resistance where we saw a pullback from. Again, that became the same zone. We saw a pullback, but it kind of held and made a little bit of higher low, right? Hence the trend line. So now if we get back down below this level, definitely a long area between 316 all the way till 310, right? That could be a good value sort of play, swing play, green box play, kind of to look for a bounce and then eventually break out 340 as well. Okay. That's a weekly view. And a daily view, yeah, I mean, still weak, lower lows, lower highs, more red bars recently, even with the market kind of sort of stabilizing, right? Like other names, Apple, Amazon. This one is still a pullback. So again, I'll be interested in this one at the levels I described. All right. NVIDIA. I still like this name. I think it can be played because look at the weekly chart. We have some rejection here from the highs from above 500, right? This one and this one, right? But this could be a higher low because it could be back testing this channel right here and then eventually test this 450, 448 level, and then we go back towards 502, right? So it could be that it's coming down. And again, look at the momentum towards the downside does not seem that strong. It's just contained, right? It's not a really long trend bar. It's contained. So just pull back from that perspective. Okay, here's the daily view. I think it can be something like this, kind of a wedge, right? We see a breakdown and then we see a back test of this channel trend line and the bounce zone, right? Like I said, between 440, 450, something like that could be a nice one, with this being your stop loss around 438. Okay, Netflix. Really enjoyed a nice good run in the past few weeks. Still uptrend, right? Higher highs, higher lows, kind of a thing. From the structure perspective, I think 527 is your area that it can target on further push higher. But right now, a pause, right? Because hey, this is the level, right? A recent high. So it couldn't really break above that. So this was the first pullback in a few weeks, right? Right from here, right from here. Where can you add or look to add? Well, this can be a FVG area, right? On a weekly basis. You can see this was the resistance zone. We got above that. So again, this could be your support zone on the pullback. If you look at daily view, you can see it was struggling here, right? You were not seeing any bullish trend bars with long bodies, right? So it was struggling. Now if it wants to come back down, it's more nicely visible. This was the level it broke down from. This was right here. It struggled for a couple of days and before it broke out, right? So this is your area to look for a pullback in case it comes down there, right? It can definitely bounce from 458, but 450 is psychological as well, right? So definitely something to look for in case the price comes there. PLTR weekly view looks good. It's finally making its move back above this one 17.9 and 19 resistance, right? This was the resistance level. This was the resistance level. It broke out, it pulled back, retested that level this past week and bounced. Now I'll see if it can slowly start making its move back up towards 23.5. Like to see it hold this 18 to 17.9 kind of, you know, in case it pulls back. On a daily view, it's fine. I think it's better in like maybe a 4-hourly view, right? Here's your view. It was making some sort of like a flaggish sideways move and closed pretty nicely on Friday, right? So it can definitely, if it can push higher above 20.5, we can see a quick move towards 21.9. Okay, let's take a look at FDX. I know we recently played this name as well. Looks fine. Weekly chart is good. 271 could be in target, and then who knows, you know, short covering from there as well, because that has been the level of resistance for past few months now. So a lot of shorts can cover above that if that happens. Daily view looks nice. You can see a nice breakout of this channel or trend line. Disney looks fine as well. I would like to see a pullback close to 90, right? 90 and below is definitely a good level to start accumulating, buying all the way till 87.6, because that's where the gap up was from, right here, and then we pulled above it, and then we saw a nice move. So right now I just did a gap fill of this one and gave you a little bit of bounce. Still weakish, but holding, right? But just to kind of give yourself some cushion, I'd say this area is nice to look for a long, right? Okay, ALB weekly view looks fine. Let's look at that again. It's on a downtrend, but again it is sitting at a level where we have seen bounces from. So this was the big bounce from, right, which is not until 93.2, but again that can be a late tier 2 tier 3 kind of a add if it comes there, right? Could be a long term, but right now from monthly perspective, you know, we had a nice monthly downwards move, but that momentum has slowed down now significantly. In a weekly view, you can see, you know, 2 to 3, even 4 sideways weeks, right? Bullish green weeks, bottom wicks, and in daily charts, kind of like a visible, right? A little bit better. You can see clearly that this whole 18.8 level, how it is holding that. Every time we trade there, we don't see any downside follow through from there. In fact, the price bounces, and now it's touching against this downtrend line. If it can close and get above that, it's bullish, and then we can easily see test of this 134.9 or this downtrend line in a higher time frame. So keep an eye on that. Okay guys, have a good rest of your weekend, and if you have any questions and comments, let me know. Thank you.